Picked up guitars, we made millions of dollars. All that hard work and shit, that's all crap. I don't know, all these bands, they all lie about it. Right from the beginning, it was amazing. It was girls and money and drugs. From the first moment we put guitars on, it was incredible.
Well, you know, I mean, you obviously do this like for two reasons. You do it for fun because it's the best thing you do, right? And secondly, you do it to make a living, you know. And if you get a raw deal like we've had, I personally speaking, I ended up on a construction site, you know, just doing general labouring, you know, and that's nowhere to go.
Yeah, just aim high, right, and don't let anyone put you off, and don't get discouraged, because there's like so many put downs and people are going to laugh at you at first, but you stick with it. You rock and roll, it always comes through in the end.
We played over and over. We rehearsed every day, 5, 6, 7 hours, and I had a very strong focus, and I wanted so bad, and I was ready to make everything for it, and this is what I still do.
During that, we did auditions for several different record companies, and we would been rehearsing for weeks, like any other band would do, you know, and then put a whole show on, and they come down, and then a week later on we would meet with our management and you know, and see what the outcome would be. And the outcome they would come in the room and say, okay, everybody sit down, and, you know, and says, you played great, but you didn't play great enough.
You know the basic truth, you can't make it without getting screwed. Don't lie to me. It's just gonna happen. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. We love it. You gotta love it.
No, it's all about persistency. It's all about being a rat, a roach, something grubby, something that crawls into crevices, something that survives. You know what I'm saying? It's heavy. It's just heavy. And you know in your blood, if you have blood, you know, I don't know, if you have somebody else's blood, I don't know, AIDS in your blood, I don't know, something. Anyway, if you have it in your blood, you know it's there, and you do it, and that's just the way it is. And if you don't, well, then go sell donuts.
We all got kicked out of high school, and then we had nothing else to do, and it just seemed natural to send many chicks we can get. And
I met Tracy at a party where a friend of ours band was playing, and I got a phone call from him the next day because he was putting together the LA Guns. And I said,
that was good. I was hitchhiking from the airport, and I got picked up by a van. These guys were in it. They had the singer. They decided to drop the singer off at the next corner, and I've been with the band ever since.
Hey guys, talk it out.
I know, pass the buck.
I wasn't here for this though.
From the depths of hell. The group came together just by meeting. You know, we just bumped into each other, and I came out of high school, really. Went to school with a couple of kids, and we jammed together a lot, and it was just a case of deciding one day to call it a band rather than just, you know, hanging out. So one day we just decided to call it Anthrax, and it took about a year and a half, or 2 years almost, before we actually had, like, the real band together. We went through a lot of different people.
There was a problem with the band. There was like 4 guys in the band who had the same name.
I know, you either had, like, 3 guys named Greg or 5 guys named Dan, or, you know, so there was always 2 guys with the same name, so we knew the band wouldn't be right until everyone had their own name.
I met Killboy here in high school.
Summer school.
Summer school even, because we were flunkies. And and I decided to try a little heavy metal with this little rat-a-tat band he had going, and it turned out to be something pretty cool.
Well, I was like 11 or 12. My mom bought me a Kmart special 99, 94, $19.95 guitar. It was killer. And I heard Angus Young, and that was it. Corrupted me.
I went out and found the people that I needed, that thought the way I wanted to think, and do the show that I wanted to do, and play the music that I wanted to play. So it was a matter of finding the right people, and I just put ads in the trade, and slowly but surely found the guys, you know. And some people weren't right, and they were out,
and until it got to the point where it is now.
Darryl, tell the kids out there what kind of difficulties you had, just how you got started, that whole deal. I think they really want to know.
When we really started, it was really a problem to find a room, and it was so expensive, and then to get a good show, which costs a lot, and then to get all the amplifiers and so on, and all the boxes. This was really, and so you must have somebody who's believing in you and who gives you the money, and then we played over and over. We rehearsed every day 5, 6, 7 hours, and I had a very strong focus, and I wanted so bad, and I was ready to make everything for it, and this is what I still do.
How important do you think it is to take care of the basics first?
Well, you got to have the basics. I mean, when you're in the clubs, you're playing every night, you learn about your equipment, your stage attitude, your moves, how to relate to people, how to talk to people. You meet a lot of people.
We just wanted to play really bad, and I mean, I was in bands before this, but it was just nothing serious. So these guys were serious, and we were writing original material, and that was the most important thing, just to get your songs out.
We didn't do any cover material at all. Well, it was all original at the beginning, and we just started playing out as the band we are now. We started playing out around New York, a few select places, and at that time there was a lot of that copy bands around. You know, it wasn't all original like now. It's really hard. You have to be totally all original to even play out.
And since you asked about like not playing copy songs, that he didn't really answer that. But for example, you gotta play copy songs. I was fortunate that when I joined up with Vito, we didn't have to, because we decided to come out also with the whole record deal and everything as a non-copy band right away, and we felt, I mean, I paid my dues in Europe playing copies for years. You gotta do that just to play the gig. You cannot come out and play originals as your first gig, because it takes a little time until somebody starts, you know, recognizing your songs and stuff like that. You know, you play some copies, you don't play half and half. You cannot come out and as a totally original band and survive, and especially today when the club scene is not what it used to be.
I don't think there's a set formula that one follows in setting up a band. I think what you have to do is first believe in yourselves and in your own music. And that's the key. You're writing these songs, you're writing the music, it's got to come from the heart. You can't say all of a sudden, Metallica's successful, I'm going to write Metallica songs. Guns N' Roses is successful, now I'll write Guns N' Roses songs. You have to develop your own style of music. And depending on your age and when you're starting from, you'll usually start as a cover band, playing other people's material until you develop your own writing skills and become more aware of your own musical instincts. The best approach I would suggest to a young band that's starting out is, once again, to initially try to define what the band's about. Develop some type of image for the band. Try to get yourself some type of press kit together. Play here, play there. Develop a certain local following.
I think the best band's image is something that comes naturally. Like Richard said, let it come naturally. If you guys are into jeans and T-shirts as your life, it might not be a bad idea to get up there and just wear your street clothes. If you're into the glammy thing, I mean, it depends what you want to do.
There's a lot of people that look and act exactly the same in metal. And it's only because of one guy who would start the whole thing and it would run down. But that's a stupid mistake for a lot of bands who don't do it well. And you end up being a mockery of another band, and you end up going nowhere because you don't have your own identity, which I think is really important. You have to really go after your own identity, no matter who you're influenced by.
Yeah, don't copy other people, man.
Wait, don't be Kingdom Come.
Yeah, don't pretend you're Led Zeppelin.
Whatever you do, don't try and sound like Led Zeppelin. It's a big mistake.
Yes.
Or Aerosmith.
Or Aerosmith. You can play all the... Be as original as you can be without thinking about it, you know.
Don't think about rock and roll too much. Rock and roll doesn't need too much thought.
Well, I find the image of a band very important. Now, I've gotten demo tapes that are just a cassette without even a box to hold them in, and a piece of paper that I've listened to, and I've said, oh my gosh, I love this band more than anything I've ever heard before, and I've got to have them. And I've gotten incredible press kits with beautiful photographs of the band, and I looked at them and I said, gosh, these are real professional guys. They look great. I can just see them on the cover of Circus Magazine tomorrow. It's wonderful. Either way, it works.
Make demos.
When you make a demo tape, a lot of people worry about quality of a demo tape. You don't have to, I think your first demo, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but your first demo really, don't worry about quality as much as let's say, the feel of the music, because a good A&R person will listen to a demo tape, and they could hear if this band sounds really good, but they're just playing under shitty circumstances because they don't have the money, they don't have the facilities, and they don't have the time.
Make demos.
You want to have the band as tight as possible so that you don't waste any money or time in the studio because you're probably working on a limited budget. The best number of songs to put on your demo tape is 3. Pick the 3 strongest songs, the ones that get the most reaction, and try to do the best possible job. If you don't feel you can get 3 done, 2 can sometimes suffice.
Make demos.
Basically, as far as sending a demo to Megaforce, again, since we are selective and we are a label that really keeps our roster down to a minimum, it's going to have to be something real special.
Make demos.
If you've got demos and stuff like that you want to approach a record company with, don't do it until they're good, because, you know, a lot of these A&R guys, they have, I mean, if you go into an A&R guy's office, and you've done this plenty of times, there's a million cassettes sitting on their desk. I mean, millions of them. And, you know, they get to listen to them once if they're lucky. You know, I mean, these guys have thousands to listen to. So if you're going to take something in, make sure it's real good and the best that you've got to offer. You know, I mean, it's worth waiting. It's worth making that one chance good, because the next time your cassette occurs on his desk, he's probably not going to listen to it.
Yeah,
if he didn't like the first one, he's
yeah.
probably going to throw it.
Yeah. So yeah, don't send them rubbish.
Yeah, you can get an automatic pass on the second time. Right?
Yeah,
You know.
just because they remember the name and go, yeah, I threw that in the bin.
Make demos.
Well, you might say, well, how am I going to make a good demo tape with $1,000 or $1,500, whatever you may have to work with? Well, it's entirely possible. The way to do it is by having very strong material and getting someone professional from whatever town you're in, or someone that you know that's able to help you in the studio, especially if it's your first time in there. You're going to need someone that you can trust, that you know can get some good sounds for you. Now, this could be a local engineer from the studio that you're working in. It could be someone that you know that operates a soundboard in a live situation. But it's very important that you have somebody that you feel confident and comfortable with.
Make demos.
If you really like a band and you're really into them and you think that you like what's happened in their career, look at the back of the album and see what company that is. There's usually an address. If not, it's usually in New York, Los Angeles, or one of the European countries. You'll find out very quickly. And you can call up and talk to those people, find out who you should send a tape to. And that's one way. And I think it's a good way.
Make demos, and hopefully someone. Yeah, did I say that already? Bleh. And just give them out. Excuse me. Make demos. Self-finance. Self-finance.
If you send a tape in, remember to write your name on it, write your phone number on it, on the actual tape. So if somebody listens to it and goes, "This is fucking beautiful, I love this," they don't know who to call. So, you know, put your name down. Put your name down on the fucking tape.
Be patient. It's great to make follow-up calls, and that is important too, because if you just get the tape and there are no follow-up calls, you have a tendency to put it to the side and you may listen to it a year after it comes in.
Keep doing demos. Demo 1, 1985, Demo 2, 1986, Demo 3, 1987. Let them see the progress you're making.
It is good to have new songs each time. I want to know that you're still writing songs. Sometimes I've gotten a demo that's had the same 3 songs on it. I got the 1986, 1987, 1988 version, but there's the same 3 songs. And each time they played those 3 songs better. But then I wondered, if I give them a contract and they've got to do 10 songs in an album, can they? And then what about album number 2? So try to show, you know, that you're prolific, that you can write a lot of material and that you're there. And if you become a 100,000 copy seller tomorrow, that maybe you can put out an album in another 6 months and make just as much money and keep the thing going. Persistence, diligence, playing out live. Just keep trying, I think, and more than anything else, keep sending it to different people and keep watching what's happening with other bands around you, and I think you can get there.
What's a way to generate a buzz that will make somebody pay attention to my tape, as opposed to just sending it in blindly to a record company? Well, one very important thing is to build a local following.
A good way of selling your fans is to service them with the same demos that you're servicing the record label with. If the record label fails to see the value of those demos, then probably the fans will, if you're any good, if you have 2,000 or 3,000 demo tapes out there that's being well received by your audience, you'll get people at live shows, and you will interest record labels.
I guess one of the biggest problems that young bands face is how to get started, how to start drawing attention to themselves, how to get a leg up and get going. And part of that is, how do they get into a club in the first place to start playing in front of people? And Tommy probably is, I guess, the best person to answer this, so we'll turn it over to you.
Well, I figure the best way to start off is a good package, a good demo tape, and have a following. Now, the way you develop a following is to go out there and play. Your first couple of gigs is probably no money at all, but you have to go out there and want to do it, and not to be discouraged at all. You have to go out there and really try and hustle your gigs in, especially the hardest gigs are always the first ones, getting that first gig, because it's like a catch-22. Nobody wants to book you because nobody knows about you, and you can't get known until you played around. So it's really hard. You have to go out there and really make phone calls, pester the booking agent every single day. There's a lot of bands out there that call me almost like once a week, begging me for gigs, saying they'll draw 100 people or more. And they really pass to the point where they say, hey, these guys are really going to work for the show. They want this gig, they're going to hustle for the show, and I book them eventually.
So it's very important for you to build up a local following in your home state, and play as often as possible in as many places as possible. Even if they're dives, they're places you might not want to play in, but you'd be surprised how valuable that experience and building that following can be.
One thing that you can guarantee is your fans. If you have the fans, you'll always have that. You know, that's what basically got us signed to Atlantic. I mean, coming to New York and seeing us sell out 2 nights in New York, you know, you can't lose that. You know, there's all words on contracts, but 2,000 kids in a club, that means something.
When you're 17 and you're starting that band and you're walking around in your gear, you're determined to tell the world that you're in a band. And it's, again, a lot of these bands, when the one thing that always amuses me is the credits on a heavy metal band's first album. They're usually longer than the lyrics, because these people feel like telling their life story in front of it here. Your life story will sell yourself. If you're good enough, people want to write your story. You don't always have to write it. So coming up with a 16-page bio does not help anyone. It just does not. If you're good, we'll write about you. And we'll be pleased to write about you. Our business exists on the turnover of new product. We can't sit here and sit around relying on the old guard. It would be very boring, because where are we going to be in 5 years' time? Watching the old guard dead and buried at that point with no new bands. We love new bands.
Well, it's Ben Lemur and Dinah Darzan. These are people who get your faces out there all over the world in Circus Magazine. So what do you do as someone and you, Ben, as well, do in Circus Magazine? How do you get in on the whole picture? How do you make it happen? No pun intended.
Okay, I think you got to kind of start small. Like, if you start out asking for a feature, it's never going to happen, but if you send us in tour listings or something, it might. Or if you send us in an indie record, that will help. And if you're very persistent and don't get upset about the fact that we ignore you for a while and just keep going and keep plugging and keep plugging, you know, like, people will make it. Like, currently, I'd say, like, Megadeth and Guns N' Roses are 2 bands that started on an underground level that are now getting covered pretty frequently. Ben, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, Dinah's definitely right. Persistence, without a doubt, pays off in heavy metal. No question about it. The people who keep going, sooner or later, if they're good, they're going to break through. And that doesn't matter if you're coming from overseas, if you're from New York City and people aren't paying attention to the scene here, or you're from Los Angeles and there's 1,001 faces out there. So you just have to keep going. And you may get an album review when you get your indie album out. You make a video, we'll do a video review, or we'll do a quick interview with you there. Or someone like Paul Galata over here will ask you about your vocal techniques or your guitar playing for musical instruments section.
You have to be persistent, and you also have to be willing to be turned off a couple of times. You just have to learn how to smile to people a lot. It makes it a lot easier.
I often find out about bands just by being a fan of heavy metal, going to check out a band. I'll see a band I like.
You read the fanzines as well. I mean, you got to read the fanzines as well to pick up on on what's out there. And that is a good point, because if you read the fanzines, if bands understand, you might not be able to get Linda on the phone as a journalist. You might not be able to, as a band, you might not be able to call up and say, Linda, give us a story, because she's dealing with a load of things, I'm dealing with a load of things. But we read what's going out there. We read the fanzines. So it's important for a new band that's looking for press to turn around and take advantage of the fanzines, because if there's a good buzz going on the fanzines, and there's a good buzz going throughout the industry, and if Ozzy's saying this is a good group, and if there's a buzz in the fanzines, we'll get to know about it.
So the result is don't rely on your publicist. Take things into your own hands. It is your career. Get involved in the business. Don't just go out and play the rock star role. Have your manager get in contact with us. Send us a copy of the tape. Write us a letter. Do a follow-up call.
Very recently, a band from the New York area called up and said, we need some contacts. They were a young hard rock band, and they said, we'd love some contacts. Really try and help us out with this tape. Can you suggest some people we send it to? So I said, send it to me, because if I like it, I'll help pass it on to some people. Now, at that point, I got the tape, and I didn't like it. And I thought to myself, like, well, actually, musically, these kids have got something there, but I didn't really like that tape. So I turned around, and when the kid rang up again, I turned around to him and said, well, I'll be really honest with you, I didn't like it that much. But I'm not saying that my opinion is the one that it all ends there. What I'm saying at that point is, I don't think that you should go to a record company at this stage with a tape like this, because I know what the record companies are like, and I think your chances are you'll get in there and get kicked out the door. Do another one. Keep doing another one. Now, you could spend the rest of your life having someone like me saying, do another one, but I don't necessarily think you want to do that. But you have to understand that you have one shot, and when you go to that record company, use people's advice. If you can call a writer like Linda, or if you can call a manager, or you can call an agent, or you can call someone to get in touch with them and get an opinion on your music, listen to it, because it's valuable, because they might have something that they can say. Soak it in. They could be saying 90% bullshit, and there could be 10% good advice there. Take that 10% good advice, because ultimately, as I say, you have one shot when you go to the record company, and you can get kicked out the door as fast as you got in that door.
Do you guys think merchandising is real important, and why?
First of all, it makes money. Second of all, promotes whether the club or the band or whatever. And it's definitely, it's an income. Ask any concert promoter. More hassles about the T-shirt concession than anything else.
Merchandising is real important for a young band. Say you're a young band, you're going out on tour, you're not getting paid much money, you're getting a few $100s here and there, you gotta rent the van, gotta rent the equipment, gotta maybe sleep in the van a few nights a week. Find somebody who prints T-shirts up, sell the shirts cheap, sell a lot of them, you'll be able to eat. I know a lot of young bands who have survived basically on selling shirts. This is before you get into merchandise companies who really take care of business the right way. Bring a friend out on the road with you. He drives sometimes. He sells T-shirts. The money you make from that will give you gas money and food money and stuff to get home. And that's real important. It's real important to eat out on the road. It helps.
Well, for all you young bands out there, merchandising is basically a way of telling the people who you are. It's giving you an identity. It's putting your image, your logo, the likeness of your band on a T-shirt and marketing it. You could use posters, hats, buttons, anything that you could print your name or logo on, or a likeness of yourself or image of your band. And it's a way not only of generating income, it's a way of publicizing yourself. You'll see kids walking around in every rock concert wearing another band's name and logo. If it's your T-shirt out there as well, kids will see it. When you're playing in a facility, whether you're the opening act or the headliner, the most important thing is you want to get your T-shirts displayed. So those 19,000 kids or 15,000 kids, or if you're playing a club, those 500 kids, when they walk out, they see your name up there. They see the poster there, they know who you are, and they know what you're about.
You'll see metal bands in here with T-shirt stands, with sweatshirts, and there's some local band, and they've got World Tour on their T-shirt, you know? So they are, more than any other musical force, metal bands are aware of promotion.
You'll see a band's name on a T-shirt. If the T-shirt and logo looks good, people say, wow, that looks like a great band. Even though they never heard the band, they saw the T-shirt. The T-shirt's great, so they want to go out and immediately buy the T-shirt. And therefore, their friends see the T-shirt, and it's like a disease. It just spreads.
In most cases, as far as coming up for a design, most bands that I know And every band I've ever seen has some type of way of writing their name, whether it's just scribbling it on a piece of paper or having a friend who's in art school who's a little bit more creative artistically than you, able to draw you a logo, which is an artistic representation of your name. From there, you could go to a local printer, look up in your Yellow Pages T-shirts, under T-shirts, and you'll see a thing that says printing. And you go down there with your little scrap of paper with your name on it and your logo, and you'll give it to this person at the printing shop, and they'll generally charge you probably between $4 and $5 a shirt. And if you're lucky enough, you get a couple of dozen made up. In the next club you go to play, you sell them for, $10, and you'll make yourself $4 or $5 a shirt. And more than that, you'll gain yourself a lot of recognition when other people see kids wearing it.
When you design a logo, you have something that looks really cool and you like. Think of the logo when it ultimately comes out on a record in the store and somebody looks by the record rack. Can they read your logo? Is it so cool and so amazing that it's so unreadable that you have no clue what the band's name is? That's really important. Also, I want to point out one good thing about a logo, and that's the color here. Wait, overkill, right? This is proven. This is proven that that color is probably the most visible color in the world, and you could see an overkill shirt at 1,000 paces, I think. So think about these things. Think about being able to read it at far distances.
Getting into the music business, everybody tells you when you're about to do it is that it's the most cutthroat, dirtiest business in the world, and most of those people are right. You got to be really aware of what's going around you, because if you're naive in any way, they'll suck you up and spit you out, and you'll be dirt, and that'll be the end of it.
If you're thinking of going into the music business full time, and you do get offered any sort of contract, for God's sake, take it to a lawyer, a music lawyer.
As much fun as it may be within the music industry, the end of the day is you have to eat, you have to have somewhere to live, you have to pay rent, and you can't do that by saying, hey, I'm having a good time and I'm trying, because landlords don't buy that.
Unfortunately, no matter what anyone thinks, this is a business. It's a big money-making business.
Go and talk to Mike and Vito, who are the original members of White Line, about the origins of the band. They have an interesting story to tell in that they were signed to a major label and consequently dropped not too long after. And I think that this might be interesting for you, just to make sure it doesn't happen to you sometime. You, the rock and roller who may be on Metal Shop one day.
Exactly, man.
So Vito, why don't you start the ball rolling? What exactly happened with the record label? We can't mention them, or we may get sued.
No, we can't mention them. Could spell it out. No, we can't mention them. Well, me and Mike, we did the whole thing. We wrote the record, recorded it. That has nothing to do with this. But we came back to the States. We got signed really quick. We got a huge deal. I mean, a lawyer handling it said that it's one of the biggest deals ever given a new band. And we went and signed the papers, everything. The company was treating us like gold. I mean, they were saying, you're the next big thing. Everything. We'd go up there. They would bring us into big meeting rooms and have all the top executives come in and everything. And everything was set, perfect. I mean, you couldn't ask for better. Big budgets, videos, everything. And then all of a sudden, within, like one day, it was, you just call up and they don't want to, it's like, white who? We don't know anything. They totally dropped the band, never gave us a reason. I mean, it's not like they put the record out and it failed. They just never even put the record out. They just didn't want to put it out. They put it on the shelf and just left it there.
I've been asked, is obtaining a lawyer the first thing an artist or a band should do? I really believe the answer is a definite yes. If you're a bagel baker, you have bagels. If you're a candlestick maker, you have candles. If you have a carpenter, you've built a desk, you get paid for the desk. When you're a band, you have some sounds which are very transitory. You have certain rights to your name, to your likeness, to your music, to your compositions, to your records, to your merchandising rights. They're put down on a piece of paper. They're put down on a piece of paper within a structure of the law.
You always need a lawyer. The thing is, when you want to go on the loo and your manager says, you should go on the right loo, first get your lawyer and let him tell anything, you know, if you want to go on the left loo, on the right loo, or on the loo in the middle. You know, you always need a lawyer.
No, I agree with you. No, he's being flippant about it, but to a point whereby he's saying it is very, very important, to the extent that even when you go for a crap, the lawyer should tell you what to do.
I mean, otherwise you get screwed. I was asked how you find or select a lawyer. Most of my clients come to me because they've been referred to me by other clients. You can ask around this band, that band, and ask 10 bands, and certain names will constantly occur and reoccur. More likely than not, that means the lawyer is working in the particular field and is somebody you should see and visit and talk to. Can you get along with him? Can you accept and get along with his fee structure? Do you think you can establish a decent relationship?
Contact the local bar association. Don't go to Jacoby and Myers for a lawyer, because they don't know what's going on. They do divorces and stuff like that. You have to get somebody who knows what's going on.
You know, I worked construction until I had a lot of money, and I went to the best lawyer that there was, and he robbed me blind. But at least I didn't get ripped off on the contract. You know, I mean, he did. The price he got from me was shocked me to death.
Lawyers are real expensive. Well, it seems like they're not doing enough for their money, but I don't know. It's hard to get anywhere in business without one. So.
Because we're fucking not that smart, you know. So.
Well, it isn't.
He isn't. But we gotta hire smart people so that we can be smart, you know.
He can tell you the structure of the business. He possibly can copyright your songs and records or tell you how to do it yourself. When you're a band, you're a partnership. Perhaps you should have a partnership agreement. Perhaps you should trademark your name. Perhaps the partnership agreement should say the name is owned by these individuals, and if one of them leaves, he doesn't have a claim to the name. The remaining members retain the name. We all know the stories of the millions of bands going around called the Coasters, the Mills Brothers, and I can go on ad infinitum. One of the key assets of any band is the name. The lawyer can tell you about the contracts that you may enter into with a record company, with a music publishing company, with a producer. He can give you, if he's in the business, he can add to everything I've said and give you some advice as to selecting a manager, selecting a record company, a merchandising company, a booking agent.
It is very, very important that you have a lawyer as well as a manager to negotiate all your business affairs. If a manager or a lawyer is shopping your tape, it holds a bit more clout and a bit more weight than if it's the guitar player or the drummer. It's considered at a different level, I think. Although a lot of those bands that don't have that yet, manager or lawyer, if there's label interest, that'll come real quickly.
Our lawyer actually got us a lot of liars. Yeah,
a lot of liars.
Many liars out there. People bullshit and stuff.
Yeah, we have a liar, and he got us our record deal.
In my opinion, a good manager should have some creative insight. You have to advise the band, shall I go in this direction, in that direction? Is this song good? Shall I tour with this band or that band? You'll have to know what is good pairing. You'll have to be creative and know the difference between one sound and another. The manager works on a day-to-day basis with the band. There's constant counseling. It's 25 hours a day. The manager is somebody the band must relate with for certain.
With a good manager, someone who is out for the common interest of the band, who truly has a liking to the band, and really is looking out for their well-being as opposed to how much money he's going to make off of the deal. It's very important that it's just a good bond between those two people, because then that's going to relay into the label as well.
Your job as a band, basically, if you look at it, like when you have somebody as Richard as a manager and you're a big band and you're selling lots of records, your job is to be a band, to go on stage, to perform, to entertain, to write music, to be creative, to do that shit. Not to worry about, oh man, is our rec company getting posters up in the store? Or, oh man, is our tour manager going to get us food today? Or it's just stuff like that. That's your manager's job. That's why you pay him a percentage. A lot of people worry, oh, these managers, they want lots of money. Well, they do lots of work. So, you know, you got to give, you want somebody to do something for you, you got to give them something.
More likely than not, the manager will be the one contacting record companies, booking agents, merchandising companies, music publishing companies. The manager will be the one who will try possibly to get you exposure on various television shows.
Now, management is very important in this business, that's for sure. We've gotten very far because of our management. You know, you can't do it on your own, you know.
You got to make sure the manager is not a nice guy. You need an evil, deceiving son of a bitch of a manager to really get you over.
You know, in most instances they say, well, we need a manager because we want to get organized, but for me that's not good enough. I mean, I tell them when I meet with them, A, I'm not going to be your bank, I'm not going to support you, that's not what I'm here for. In many cases, that's what a young band needs, and usually in that case, they should go to their parents and ask them for money. It's always been my opinion that the only time a band seriously needs a manager is when it comes to the point where they're ready to negotiate a record deal or feel they're ready to attempt to try to get a record deal. I get hundreds of tapes a week with all these people sending in things, I want a record deal, I need a manager. But they don't have the first instinct even to realize that their career is just beginning, and for them to sign up for a management now, there's nothing basically I could do for them that they couldn't do for themselves. They need to do the initial groundwork to develop themselves to a certain point before I could take over and be effective.
Once you get real serious about it and it looks like you're going to be signed with the label, I think it's vital you get a good manager and a good lawyer.
We went a long time, about as long as you could go without a manager, and I just basically did all the work. And that we needed someone to crack in the business for us, someone who could make the connections and work for us. And so it was a matter of going through a lot of different people to find out what they thought of certain people that wanted us and wanted to manage us.
Actually, it's better if management finds you. It's not a good idea to go chasing people in the business because, you know, if it's meant to be, they'll find you, they'll come to you.
Take it on the road.
Yeah, you know, just go out and play as much as you can, you know. The more you're out in public and people see you, a better chance you have of people being interested, you know.
We didn't look for one. He just kind of showed up and said, hi, I'm your manager. Kind of. He like took over.
Shyster managers you should avoid, because we've been approached a lot of times by guys who are, you know, to say right out of the Pink Floyd song, you know, I have a, you know, he's got a cigar, he's ready to take you and make you a star and the whole bit.
We had this kind of acting manager, we called him Merlin the Magician, and and after I get rid of my green face, we used to ask Merlin questions like, how much money did we make at the show? And he'd say, you know, things are big, things are real big. We said, well, you know, how much money, like in dollars, did we make? And he'd just,
we'd be looking good.
Things are big, yeah, we'd be looking good. Things are big, and things would be happening. And that's about all we got out of him, ever.
I've been asked whether or not a lawyer should be a manager. Lawyers have been managers and are managers, and at times I've managed acts. I personally think, other than perhaps one or two at most, a lawyer should not be a manager. It's a full-time job. A manager normally has 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 clients, and he can put a lot of time into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 clients. A management contract, if you really look at the contract, it's really going to say the manager will guide and consult with the artist in terms of advancing his professional career. That's really the meat of what a management contract is. Time available for the artist is one of the key factors that a manager has to offer, and a lawyer normally has less time. A lawyer might do business management, tax, this deal, that. but not day-to-day management. It's too tough. I happen to be involved, very involved in the independent metal field, as I call it. I'm aware of the creative aspects of it. Most of the lawyers are not. Generally, you're better off being managed by a real true manager with a track record and one or two artists who you know about, who at some level or other are established.
The one thing about management is you really get really accustomed to this negative button here. You see this? You use this sucker a lot. And red, you always see a lot of red on the thing, on the little ticket tape machine here.
Well, the first thing, if a band should come to me looking for management, and I should hear a tape, so to say, and I like the tape, and I see the band perform, and I feel that there is something there that I could do for the band, the initial question I have is, what do you want to do? What direction do you want to take? Where do you feel your music should go? What direction you feel your music should go? Because right now there's so many different fields in metal that the band needs to have an identity unto themselves to be successful. There has to be something a little bit different that's going to set them apart from the masses. And that's generally what I look for in signing a new band.
The first job for a manager to do is to get the record company to do absolutely, the record company, the booking agent, the merchandising company, anybody who's involved in any way, shape, or form with the band's career, to get them to do as much as possible of everything that can possibly be done for the band and pay for everything themselves. And the second part of a manager's job is to do everything that they didn't do and get that done as well. The point is that there are important things that need to be done for any band career if they're really going to break. And somebody's got to do it, or else you're just fooling yourself and you're fooling your band.
Firstly, a very common misconception amongst musicians, especially with me when I was starting, is I didn't really know what the hell a producer was. I used to see names on the record being credited as a producer, but I was never really sure exactly what the role was. So that's going to be my first question, Bo, if you don't mind. What exactly is a producer?
A producer would be likened to a film's director. You basically have to coordinate the musicians, you have to coordinate the studio, the manager, the A&R department at the label. You are sort of the center of the wheel, if you will.
Most bands who are watching this have probably made demos by themselves with just an engineer, and it's Max's job basically to come in and whip things into shape. So give us a rundown of your role and how important you feel your role is to the end product.
Well, the easiest way to judge the role is that it's an objective role, isn't it? It's to look at the band from the outside and say, well, this sucks and this doesn't suck, or this is, keep doing this because everybody likes this, or whatever. A lot of bands don't do that. But I think a lot of bands would help themselves if they recorded themselves first and listened to it. A lot of people rehearse day in, day out, but they don't listen to what they're rehearsing, if you know what I mean. I mean, you can't listen to it when you're playing it. You have to sort of record it and then go listen to it afterwards.
I think somebody that knows how to work well with people, and somebody that can get out of the artist more than the artist really knew he had to give. Not producing in your own image. It's very easy for me to make my own record because I know how I would like for me to sound. But for me to make my record with you as the guinea pig isn't the way it should be done. My idea would be to sort of get inside of your head and help you achieve and realize what it is that you want to achieve and realize as an artist, and use my expertise and my experience to help you do that.
And something else people might not realise about a producer's role is I've just worked with Max, and he actually came into the studio with us and just watched us play for 2 weeks and literally ripped our stuff apart. So you have to be prepared for that, but it is important. I feel that. I didn't think so at the time when he first said, no, this is wrong.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
You didn't at all.
But I kept my mouth shut because I thought, no, this is Max Norman, he must be talking sense. And he was, actually. But you have to be prepared for that. But how do you actually go about telling a band that something's...
Well, I only say anything if I've got a better idea. That's, so, I mean, I cover myself like that. So or I do say things, sometimes I say, I don't like that, I just don't like it, But hopefully most of the time I've got a better idea.
So I guess the next question is, if a band's just got signed to a major label, say RCA or Atlantic, what sort of budget would they be working with? And, if you could give us a breakdown of how things go, I'd appreciate it.
Well, First of all, there are no hard rules about anything. The record company's there to make money. They're going to cut you the cheapest deal they can possibly cut you, with the cheapest advance or with no advance at all to the artist. So anything that you may have been reading in the magazines about so-and-so just got a $100,000 advance and everybody went out and bought a new car is probably rubbish. To work in a place like this in New York, it wouldn't be uncommon for a room like this to go for between $1,500 and $2,000 a day. And then you have all of your other expenses. If you want to rent some additional equipment, rent some additional outboard gear, those type of things all chip away at the stone. So it's very, very easy, unless you're very budget conscious and you can really cut some hellacious deals, to find yourself in that $2,000 a day bottom line figure for making a record. Most record companies will do what they call baby bands. It'll be an all-in deal. By all-in deal, that means that the production costs, tape costs, rental costs, and the cost of paying your producer and paying your engineer all have to come out of this budget.
I think also to be the objective eye for the band is essential, because when you're in the heat of production, you need an overview. And when the band is in there, they're far too subjective to be able to look over the thing. So that's what a producer, I feel, really is best for, besides contracting and making sure everything runs smoothly. I would like to volunteer one message, though, to anybody looking for a producer or looking for management. Look for someone that you like and that you can stand to be around. Because you may want somebody who's a big manager or a big deal. It means nothing. Because when you're on the outside, you want to be famous. You want to get there. So you'll go with anybody, and you'll put up with this idiosyncrasy, and you'll put up with that kind of rudeness. But 1 year into the deal, you're miserable. Remember, music is this big, life is that big, you know? So make sure your life feels good, otherwise your music will not.
What does a record company do? First off, they acquire the record, record it, and distribute it. Then they market it. Well, marketing it will mean getting it on the radio, getting press. Perhaps if the band can tour, but they don't quite have enough money to tour because they're getting $500 a night and it costs $600 a day to stay on the road, the record company will give them tour support. How good is a record company, and how do you know which record company to go to? Well, certainly one of the ways to know is by sales and how much royalties they pay you. Another way to know how good a record company is look at Billboard. Which record companies are on the charts?
A band should select a label based upon the label's performance, and only on the label's performance. If you should actually make a notebook of labels, put down which bands are signed with which labels, how each of those bands are doing, particularly if you know bands. Then you should ask your friends in those bands about how their labels are performing. If the records are selling well, what the sales levels are, what their commitment to touring is, what kind of press they've produced for the bands, and many other factors. You know, labels, bands aren't the only things that have to perform. Labels have to perform. If labels are not performing, then you'll find out about it. Your friends will tell you, and just steer clear of those labels.
As far as protection for a band and getting a deal, there's always good deals and bad deals. If you have no options, though, my philosophy as a manager has always been to be in the game, you have to have a record out. So if you have no alternatives, whatever the deal is, within reason, I would take the deal. Because once you start becoming more successful, there's always, renegotiating, so to say.
If a band can come into a label, I think, with really strong management, a really strong self-image, they're going to project that to the people that promote them, and probably have a much safer time, because the company in turn will say, this is something we can really get behind, and they'll work for that act. And usually the combined effort of the record company and the rock band, the partnership therein is what will make a #1 act.
We're very selective, and we will not sign a band unless we feel we can give it 110%. We're not going to take a band, even if we love it, if we feel we can't work it, we're not going to take the project on because it's not fair to the artist, it's not fair to anyone involved?
Well, a brief overview is there are what you would call, quote, the independent labels, which are not affiliated with the majors being, you know, CBS, Warner Brothers, Atlantic, RCA, et cetera, et cetera. Those labels basically have smaller staffs and can work more closely in developing a new artist initially. They don't have as much money to spend, but they do have the time to spend on an artist. And they act more right now as a farm system for the majors. Once you can prove yourself on an independent level and sell enough records, you will gain the recognition of a major, and they'll come to see you and they'll be more interested and more inclined to sign you. Right now, a lot of independent labels are affiliating themselves with major level record companies. And once again, similar to a sporting franchise, in that you have the major league club and the minor league system. Now you have CBS Records, and then you have their independents that are associated labels through them. Recouping is a word you want to try and keep out of your record contract. You should try to make everything non-recoupable, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. The record company, in most instances, acts as a big bank, and they're always willing to lend you money, but very rarely are they willing to give you money unless you earn it. What we mean by recoupable is when the record company should say give you $125,000 to make a record. Before you should see any money back, you have to pay back that $125,000, and that's recouped against your recorded royalties. So, say for every record you sell, you should make $1. That goes back towards paying back your record advance. In addition, if the record company should give you tour support money, once again, you have to pay that money back from your record royalties. If they give you money to make a video, you have to pay that back from your record royalties. In addition to all of that money, there's packaging deductions, there's taxes, there's free goods. So when a band should sell $400,000 records, very rarely will the band actually see money from record royalties.
By the way, do you know what a royalty is? You haven't had one, have you?
Isn't that what we've got home at England?
Yes, somewhere in some guy's bank account.
Something like that, the Queen? Yeah, that's royalty, right?
I haven't made any good money, you know. When I get, once a year I get a check for, you know, like maybe at the most $5,000, you know. That's not enough to live. You know, you're not going to make money in this business until you really break wide open.
This is the classic advice. Can we say it on 3? 1, 2, 3. Keep your day job. We're not insulting your intelligence, your ability, your talent. You know, we're not saying that you won't make it. We're just saying that, hey, the odds are really tough. And unless you got your parents that you could sleep at their house all the time and let them give you money and not have to worry about ever paying bills. If you have that, that's great. Don't get a job. Hang out, sponge, that's beautiful. But, you know, if you got to pay rent, keep a day job, work.
The bank at the time I had was called Mom. And she used to, Mom, I need $100 for a cymbal. I just gave you money. Get out of here. My stick broke. Get out of here.
We started making money like in '86, so it took a while.
Yeah. It takes a long time. If you get in this business and expect, you know, oh, I'm going to make tons of money, forget it.
It's a long, hard road.
Now we hang out with Donald Trump.
How many bands, heavy metal bands, sell 500 to 1 million copies? I'd say maybe 20, 25, as a guess.
So out of all the heavy metal bands out there, 20, 25.
That's of all the metal bands that release records, and then there's the thousands of metal bands that don't have record deals, and then there's the thousands and thousands and thousands of bands that are just playing locally.
Almost every record deal, merchandising deal, etc., these days will have a personal guarantee clause, which basically means they're going to come after you. The nice thing is you should always try and get rid of that if you can, but the bottom line is every penny the record company spends on you, except maybe advertising and promotion, is money you officially owe them back. And they're taking a big risk, putting the record out, expending the cost of the jacket, the cost of manufacturing, the cost of their overhead, all that stuff. So there is some validity to it. So you have to just be careful. Don't go spending your advance and thinking that you're going to be seeing money every time a record sells in a store. You may not see money for 2 years. So just watch yourself and don't overdo it.
You've got to be willing to take a big camel poker
3 times a week, except on Tuesdays, and you get a goat then, or a llama if you choose. No.
You gotta be able to survive by eating once a day, you know, and just living on no money and just dealing with what you got. Just have fun and just live with it, man. Just groove. Just work your hardest. Don't give up. Have a lot of fun, and that's what it's all about.
What's the question again?
Breaking into the industry.
Breaking into the industry. I don't know how to do it. I couldn't tell you.
we haven't done it yet.
Yeah, we're still working on it. Get back to me in about maybe a year or 2.
Quite seriously, though, we all know what it is. Stick with what you believe in. You deviate from that form, and you're just gonna be a follower. There are 2 sorts of people in this world: followers and leaders. Be a leader.
Just play what you feel and totally stick with it. Do thick and thin.
Yeah, don't give up. We've seen a lot of bands give up for little bitty things. You know, we've been through.
They see these new trends and shit coming in, and they start, well, that's where the money's at, you know. We'll just start playing a little bit of Pose or whatever, and they just fucking lose it. Then pretty soon they're hated, you know, by their following, the original following, like in their hometown. Then they're out of there. They can't do shit.
Don't show up with a fucking cocky attitude and expect your drum rise up for the first 2 years, because you're not gonna get anywhere. Show up and show that you can play. That's all they can. I mean, it's all rock and roll.
I don't know what we did that was so different that a million other bands haven't tried, you know. What it comes down to is I guess, you know, talent and timing, and just, you know, if the music you're playing is what's going to be happening in the next couple of years. You just got to stick to what you're doing and have some kind of original sound. You know, originality is the key. If you're not original, then you just should give it up and go learn how to work computers, because that's something that'll always be available as a high-paying job.
But I'd just like to say, ask the boys one question: is it worth it? Yes, it is! Yes, it is! Yes, it is!